All right, well, welcome to our latest edition of The Real Deal, where real estate meets real life. I am your host, Janine Randy, here with my co-host and father, Randy Dix.
Hello.
And on this episode number 6, our guest today is Rebecca. Rebecca is the community manager with Power Ranch with CCMC. And I'm really excited to have you because I thought it'd be a really good chance for just everybody out there to maybe understand HOAs a little bit better. I feel like there's a lot of misconceptions and a lot of maybe negative perceptions about HOAs. So maybe we can kind of get rid of some of those myths today, and just talk to you about what would make a good resident. How can we take better advantage of our HOA communities that we live in, because they are so prevalent here in Arizona, and just to get to know you better. Does that sound good?
That's awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Rebecca. So tell us about yourself.
So I'm an Arizona native, fourth generation, very proud.
Yes.
I grew up in Chandler, born and raised, and love working in Gilbert, love working with our community partners, love serving the Power Ranch community. I have 3 girls, and I adopted my niece, so now I have 4 girls, and they're all very busy in volleyball and just doing their thing. I have been with Power Ranch for 7 years, and before
I can't believe it's been 7 years.
I was thinking 4 or 5 years. But
no,
time flies.
when you're having so much fun,
right?
Yeah. And then before that, I came from our little sister community, which is Spectrum at Bella Vista and Pecos, and then I was there for a few years, and then came over here to the big sister community, and have been here ever since. So.
Yeah, and
You're doing a great job, by the way.
Oh, thank you, Randy. I appreciate that.
And you didn't start as a community manager. You started as the lifestyle director.
Yeah. So I did start as a lifestyle director, and at the time it was a lot. We have 100+ events throughout the year. We have clubs and classes, serving 20,000 residents. So it's quite the program. Having great community partners such as yourselves that give back so much to the community, partnering with nonprofits, the PTOs, the town council, and different staff members there, growing partnerships with police and fire. And so it's it's really nice to be able to connect to the community and then the greater community.
Yeah. I feel like having that lifestyle start here really got you entrenched and gave you the ability to get to know everybody and even know the residents, right? Maybe more of a personal way than the community manager necessarily would have the opportunity to, because you're out at all of these community events. And you, to your credit, do a great job of showing up at a lot of the community events still in your not your new role, but your current role. I'll say that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I feel like that gave you like a really good starting spot, right, to get to know Power Ranch and get to know our residents.
Absolutely.
When when we talk about Power Ranch and how we're kind of different and unique from some of the other communities surrounding us, what would you say, and how, in terms of master plan communities within CCMC, how is Power Ranch unique and different?
Excellent question. So we have people who move here across the country internationally to come and live in Power Ranch, and that's amazing to hear. We have families who come and tour, and they're looking at all different communities in Gilbert and surrounding areas, and they just love Power Ranch. The top few things that we hear is the lifestyle program. They see people who are out walking their dogs, and they're riding bikes, and there's people having like pickup basketball games, and it's just really a thriving and busy community. And so people really love that. They love the landscape that they see here. It's very green. We have over 14,000 trees and 600,000 plus plants. And so, they're drawn to that. It's very different from being in the desert. And then just the amenities that you guys have, right? There are so many amenities, the 26 miles of walking trails. Like, it's really tough to find something that's comparable, especially with the assessments that are here. And the board has done, and the committees have just done great work at keeping the community, where it's at, award winning. And so it's something to be proud of.
Oh, for sure. We hear that a lot in talking to clients and comparing what our HOA dues are here in Power Ranch versus some of the other communities, and what you get here compared to those. There's really no comparison, and our dues are relatively low considering all that is here. We have 26 miles of walking trails, 2 community pools, 2 lakes,
Well, yeah, more than the two, because you have, isn't there one or two over in the
three.
Knolls?
In the Knolls, yeah. So
One-
a total of 5.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the 2 lakes. We have 3 wells, 2 pump stations. We
The
have
barn,
Yep.
the clubhouse,
Yep.
carriage house.
Yep, exactly. All rentable spaces for
Right.
residents, and yeah, you guys have a lot happening here.
Yeah, all the community parks, the athletic. What did we put in over there? Like the little athletic playground.
Yeah, a little
Sports,
outdoor
yeah.
fitness space.
Yeah.
Yeah, for along the walking trails.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's super fun.
We do have 11 pocket parks, and then we have our main park, so a total of 12. So yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. It's a beautiful community. People move here and seek out Power Ranch from other places. And I love that because obviously being a resident here, I love that.
You said now 20,000 residents, is that correct?
Yeah, we serve 20,000.
Now, is there 4,300 or 4,100 homes?
It's roughly about 4,300
4,300.
Yeah.
So that's about 5
on
people
average.
per house.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. It's a good
What is the
community.
downside? What is the kind of the negative stuff that you have to deal with in the community?
Oh man, Randy, that's a tough question.
Right.
I would just say, the misconceptions that you talk about, some people don't understand. I think they're drawn and they love the beauty of Power Ranch, but don't realize the rules and some of the regulations that go into maintaining it. It is the way that it is because of some of the rules that are in place.
I consider a HOA a double-edged sword. In that one side is that it makes everybody stay up to date with their condition of their home, the paint, the yards. The downside is that you may be the one that gets a letter once in a while saying, "Hey, clean up your yard or paint your
Yes.
house."
Right. That's absolutely true.
Right.
We're not a fan of having to send the letters,
Right.
right? We'd rather get happy phone calls and people being excited to see us. That's not always the case. But we try to be consistent and fair and, treat everybody equally and do our best to keep the standards of the community in mind.
Right.
So, yeah.
So speaking of some of those phone calls that you guys get, what are some of the different phone calls that you guys get every day? I'm sure you get a ton, and I'm sure they tend to be some of the same kind of things. So what do you guys get calls for?
Well, our biggest challenge is we'll have a neighbor call in about another neighbor parking on the street, and then the neighbor will get the parking violation, and that neighbor says, well, we moved in here and we had little kids and now they're all drivers.
Right.
What are we supposed to do? And it's really just, we love families and we definitely want them to grow and thrive here. It's just trying to make some other accommodations. So if you think Power Ranch was built over 20 years ago, and 20 years ago, not everybody in the household got a car, right? The kids would have to share or parents would still drive. Well, times have changed a bit. And so we encourage people who want to get additional drivers in the home to do a driveway extension or work on, cleaning out the garage. That's a big key that we have people use that for storage a lot. And so we encourage them to try to use all of their spaces. In fact, the board recently updated their parking policy for long-term parking and some short-term parking regulations to help alleviate some of that. But yeah, that's definitely a challenge. And I think it's always challenging when people will call and one neighbor will say, I think we should plant more trees. And then down the street, a neighbor will say, we have too many trees and it creates clutter in the streets and we want to remove some of these trees, or leaves happen to fall in my backyard. And, with 14,000 and trees line the entire community, it's a challenge to try to trim every single one or cut them down upon request.
Yeah.
So I would say those are some of the pretty frequent challenges.
I remember when, as you all know, I was on the board of directors, so are you.
Yeah.
But I remember when I was on the board of directors, I think the biggest complaint that we had was the fact that we would not allow people to overpark. They would
Right.
park in right up next to the neighbor's house, on that dirt rock area, and they would want to put in a slab there, and it didn't follow the rules of the HOA. So that was always a problem. People coming in with families that had grown and they needed the space. As a matter of fact, the last time I went to a board meeting to complain about something, I wasn't on the board at that time.
Yeah.
The guy who complained before me was complaining about the fact that his family had grown. Exactly what you said.
Yeah.
So you never can really solve that problem.
Yeah.
It's not. If it's a difficult one to solve.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. And it is tough, like you said, Rebecca, where everybody has their own opinions and taste and expectations of what things should look like, and trying to make everybody happy. And one of the things that I think was really good for me and very beneficial, speaking of being on the board, was getting involved.
Absolutely.
And getting that inside look, serving on the committees, serving as a board member. And all of those positions are serving positions. There's no what is the perks or anything like that.
Right.
But getting that inside look, you guys, I think, sometimes really take a beating from the community, and which is so disappointing because, of course, there are issues and things aren't perfect, but at the end of the day, you guys are all there doing your absolute best to serve us as residents and serve the community. And it's just about communication, right? And
it is tough when you really are trying to serve and do the best that you can.
Right.
You talked about us having a heart of service, and we really do. And so, that role definitely takes a lot of determination and grit to get through some of those tough days. But as a team, we work on emotional intelligence, trying to help them through some of those tough situations. And remind them that it's not personal.
Yeah.
We are trying to do what's best. And I think when we can try to communicate being consistent and fair, like I said, it just makes it a little bit easier. The number one comment we get is, I feel like I'm being targeted. And the response we always have is, what benefit do we get from targeting you? Right now you're here yelling or screaming or threatening us, and there's no benefit to it. We don't know you, and you don't really know us. And so there's no benefit to targeting. It just feels, the other thing I try to explain is the way the software works is we're on an iPad when we're driving through, and the iPad will give you a red flag and say, hey, you were on this street whatever day. It appears that there's a violation here. You need to follow up. So you can close it or you can escalate it, but you need to address this home. And so it's not that, they're going out, they write down your address and can't wait to find you again. It's truly, there's a schedule that they keep. They have to give so many days for corrections of items, so 14 days. So they can't come back until that 14 days is up and give that homeowner that opportunity to get those items, cleaned up or cleared up, or even reached out. So for example, if it's paint, we want to be reasonable. We understand that's a large expense. We want to work with the homeowners and say, if it's going to take 6 months, if it's going to take 12 months, let's work on a plan. But ignoring it isn't going to help. That's going to escalate it. But if you can call us with a timeline, we are more than willing to work with you on that.
Yeah, that's a really great note, is just to call when you get those violations and ask questions, get clarity, get a better understanding of how to remedy it.
I remember when I was on the board that somebody had painted their house a color that they did not get approved by the HOA. And they had to repaint the house.
Yeah,
that's crazy, right?
Yeah, that was a tough call.
Yeah.
Just so, to clear the air, going back to some misconceptions, like the final decision is always going to be at the board level. And I think that's something that homeowners should recognize and understand, that the committees and the board really do have to make those difficult decisions. Anything that is questionable, such as that, we will bring it to the board. It is not decisions that we make in-house. We want to make sure we're in alignment with the expectations of the residents, of the homeowners, of the board.
And people have to understand that board is made up of residents in the neighborhood. It's not some attorney's office down the street.
What is the best way for a resident to make the best use of their HOA community? What would you say?
Yeah, getting involved in committees, joining the board if they're interested. We do recommend that a homeowner spend time on a committee so they can learn the process and learn, how it is when residents come in and are, upset or frustrated by decisions that they've made, to gain a good understanding. And mostly we're always looking for people who are looking at the greater community. A lot of times it's tough when people can think about what's happening outside their front door, like the one tree, like how hard is it to plant this one tree in front of my house? But it's not the one tree, it's the 2,000 acres or the 1,500 acres that we're looking at all together.
Yeah.
But the other thing is to get involved, be a part of the lifestyle events. become a community partner, volunteer. We're always looking for volunteers to help out at events or like on the committees and the board, as I said. So yeah, there's lots to do. You can even reach out to your new neighbors that move in. Just be kind and welcome them and bake them cookies and, enjoy and invite them to a play date and, show them around some of the cool walking trails. Like just be a good neighbor and welcoming.
Yeah, I love that. Just go back to the basics.
Yeah.
Speaking of community events, I think that's one of the things that sets Power Ranch apart is all of the community events that we have here. Yeah. And that was one of my favorite things about moving here and how I met so many people moving here from out of state, not knowing anyone and having a chance to go to these community events. I remember, I think one of the first things I ever did was a princess party with my little daughter. I think Elise was like a year at the time. Aww. And I still remember the lifestyle manager from then because it just was so awesome. And I just remember feeling like I'm meeting neighbors and then eventually would come to those events with my neighbors. And it just like really fostered this amazing sense of community where you're not just living there, you really get to know your neighbors and it just becomes like this community and it just makes where you live even better. And I really love that. I love all the community events you guys do.
We are so happy to hear that a lot of energy and effort and resources do go into that planning and following up. And, we want you guys to love where you live and grow those memories and recall that when she was one and, now she's a teenager and driving, 17, almost ready to graduate. And it's those stories that we just love to hear. And that's why we do what we do. I had one of our volunteers come in and say, I met my best friend here. Aww. I didn't know anybody. We moved from another state and I just decided one day to show up to a happy hour and I sat at this table, knew no one. And now we are best friends and I could not imagine my life without her. Yeah. And it's those kind of stories that just warm your heart. It's just amazing to hear that, we had a small part in that.
Yeah, for sure. What would you say, Dad, are some of your favorite community events?
The Christmas one. Where we give out the Christmas cookies. Yeah. I really enjoy that. It's just a great time of the year. Yeah. And I enjoy, it's not the community, but it's our food drive.
It's part of the community.
Which you guys, we do it together, you might say.
Yeah. And there's a lot of great things I'll say that your team does for the community. You guys have always been great partners of ours. And, I always tell anybody who is walking in the door, to really consider the businesses that give back to the communities. Yeah. And you guys are always at the top of that list.
Well, thank you. Yeah. I love it. I feel like that's why we work well. We have the same vision and values, right? For wanting to serve and give back and make where you live even better, right? And a lot of that can come from just getting involved and participating in the community events. So along those lines, Rebecca, what would you say when you think back, having been here for 7 years now, and I'm sure you've had some amazing experiences, what are some of your favorite experiences or memories you've had as just being involved with CCMC here at Power Ranch?
Yes, I would just say that I have grown to love so many people here. Like the people, I think, completely make it such a great community. Like you say, building that culture and having those same values and really just believing in community and being kind to each other. It's all those things. But specifically, I'd have to say like Quarter Mania is always so fun. All those fundraising dollars we were able to partner with, important businesses like yours and then give money back to nonprofits like House of Refuge. One year we adopted a house for a homeless family for an entire year. And that's a true impact that the community was able to do when pulled together while having so much fun, and, people would call and say, hey, Rebecca, what's the schedule? Because I'm planning a vacation and I don't want to miss it. Yeah. Or I'm planning on having my 50th birthday. Is it okay if I bring cake and extra balloons? And we're like, heck bring everything. So those kinds of things just, really make a difference and have a special place in my heart and part of the experience I've had at Power Ranch.
Yeah, I love that. And getting to be a part of that and doing it with your neighbors, just so fun. Yeah. I think it's really cool here in Power Ranch. We have community Facebook groups and they have the residents themselves create their own little get-togethers and do like community block parties and neighborhood block parties. There's one where they go around. I'm going to give the Grange neighborhood a shout out, my old neighborhood here, because they're pretty awesome. And they do a super cool, like, I think I call it like drinks in the driveway or something. And they all like rotate at each other's houses.
Nice.
And that's just their own little thing that they created and that they do. And that's super fun too. So there's so much of that going on. And I feel like it kind of trickles down from the top.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's so great to hear, because that's the whole point, right? Is
Yeah.
so that you guys can grow your own relationships and establish those
Yeah.
drinks on the driveway type events. Yeah, that's great.
So while it's hard sometimes having these standards, I've gotten my fair share of little letters of you didn't pull your trash can in or whatever, or weeds or something. But just take care of it and move on, right? And I'm grateful when I can look at my neighbors' houses and they all look beautiful and they're freshly painted or whatever, just because of some of those standards. So we appreciate all that you guys do.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Okay, so you ready for our rapid fire questions?
This
is like the fun part.
Doozies. I'm nervous. Okay, yes, I'm ready.
Okay, first one. What's your favorite season?
Oh my goodness, spring.
Okay.
Yeah, I love spring break. I love spring training.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah,
great
it is a
weather.
great time of the year.
Yeah.
If you could learn any language in a week, which would it be?
Oh, maybe French.
Oh,
That would be
yeah.
mine.
Yeah,
French.
really?
Because it's a beautiful language. It
Yeah,
sounds
so
beautiful.
too.
Right. Are you an optimist or a realist?
Oh man, I think I'm an optimist.
Okay.
Yeah, I think some days I have to be a realist working here,
Yeah.
but I still always hope for the best and hope that things work out well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, are you an explorer or a homebody?
It depends on the week, because sometimes I am ready for a good time and ready to go explore, and sometimes I don't want to have any more words. I don't want to see anyone. So, but if I had to pick one or the other, I'd say an adventurer.
Yeah, I would say that for you too. You love Sedona and getting out in nature with your husband. I love
Yes,
that.
I do. Yeah.
Okay, have more time or have more money?
That's always good. Can I have both for 500, please? I would say I probably want more time.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, what are you most likely to become famous for?
That's weird. I don't know. I'm scared to say. I don't know.
A singer? A cook?
Definitely not a singer. I would say, I would say, I would
No,
stumped. That one's tough.
She's stumped.
Okay, we
Okay,
stumped
we'll
you.
move on.
Yeah, I'll be back. I'll think about it.
Okay, what's your hidden talent? Do you have a hidden talent?
Hidden talent. I would say problem solving.
Ooh,
I would
yes.
say for sure having to work on that. I think my hidden talent, and I don't even know if it's really a talent, is just like really caring about people. I think based on my job and then sometimes having to be direct in my approach, like truly I super care about people.
Yeah.
And I would say, just loving my family so much.
Yeah.
And the final question is, what advice would you give your younger self?
Oh my goodness. So many things. I think I would for sure tell her that she can be patient and she can be more balanced and she doesn't have to worry so much, for sure.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Rebecca, this was so fun. Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks
I
for
hope
coming in,
everyone
Rebecca.
who listened or watched learned something new about the HOAs, learned how to really take advantage of where they live, get involved, serve, attend the community events, get on a committee if you're passionate about that.
Yeah.
And just,
If there are a few things I could say
Yes.
just in closing,
Yes,
and
do
you
it.
can do the edits later, is, we want you to call. We want you to be engaged. We want the interaction. We just want it to be kindly,
Yeah.
Call and ask
Right.
the question instead of making the assumption. And
Yes.
that's
Right.
true for people in all fields, right?
Mm-hmm,
I know every walk of life people are experiencing that. That's what I would say is
Yes.
gather the information and then, try
Yes.
to make the judgment off of that. Give us the opportunity to help you understand.
Yes.
We're not always right. We do make mistakes, but we own up to them and we try our best to, work with integrity and do the best that we can. And so that would be what I would say in closing if I could.
I think that's perfect.
That's
I love
awesome.
it. Well, thank you all for watching
Thank you.
The Real
Thank
Deal.
you.
We would love it if you would subscribe to our channel, like this video, and tune in next time. Thanks, guys.
Bye.